The way we take 8 trophy tags on the ranch, and the remainder go to management hunts. A management buck is an older age class deer that doesn't have a real strong 4-point frame.
By controlling the number of management deer on a ranch, the outfitters create more chances for trophy deer to breed and pass on their genes. It also reduces competition for habitat and food, letting the big boys grow even bigger.
Over the past couple of years, Rusty and I have always talked a little bit about putting a hunt together, but we just never could really get our schedules to work out. And last year, we sat down and finally I had a hole in my schedule. And unfortunately, Rusty had booked up all of his trophy mule deer hunts, but I took a look at some of the pictures he had of the management bucks that he was killing out here in Utah. And I knew we had to get on this hunt this year.
He's a nice deer.
Yeah, it's heavy at the bottom.
When Dean informed us that John Whipple was going to be a guest on this hunt, we were really excited.
We're just rolling into the rut in this part of Utah, which is going to really make it interesting because they're hopefully get stupid to catch up with my mentality, so I'll have an opportunity to get a very nice mule deer here.
This big ranch here in Utah has a lot of open country, and so we like to get in big high vantage points, set up a spotting scope or a pair of 15s, and just really case the area.
The plan for this week was John was going to hunt first, and that gets me excited. Sometimes I like to just sit back and watch other hunters go through the mental process of the hunt.
He's gone back in at that doe again, huh?
Yeah, he's just right in that brush there. It's a pretty good management deer, but I think maybe we can find something a little better.
Yeah, that's an average deer for this place.
Yeah, he's a good deer. You can tell he's an older deer. He's just not as wide as we'd like him. Yeah, you'll spot some deer that are close, 100 or 200 yards, but you're looking such great distances, and the whole dawning of long-range hunting the last couple of years has just gotten people so excited that I was excited myself to get out here and maybe take a little bit longer shot than I'm normally used to on these type of hunts.
With the combination of a Swarovski scope and HS precision rifle, shots at ranges unthought of only a few years ago have become commonplace in the field. And with his custom-built HS precision rifle, he is assured of proven 1/2 minute of angle accuracy.
I'm definitely a deer fanatic, and over the last couple of years, really getting to see some of the country and the habitat, and especially some of these giant mule deer bucks that are coming out of Utah, I just couldn't help but get excited about this hunt.
A mule deer buck stands 3.5 feet at the shoulder and can weigh 300 pounds. Unlike a whitetail, the main beams of a mule deer's antlers fork. The SCI minimum score for a typical buck is 155. The world's record, 228 5/8.
It's a tough hunt. The area is large to hunt a North American animal. That's the fun to me in hunting, is the adventure when you take on that hunt. Oh yeah, I see him.
We headed out to an area that they had been seeing some really good bucks the previous weeks, and even that afternoon before, we saw some really good bucks chasing some does on this hillside, so we wanted to get back in there and really give that hillside a good look.
There's 2 there?
There's another one that just came out.
They're all 3
there's
together,
all 3
right?
together now, yeah.
Dean picked out a real nice buck. He said, hey, there's a good one up here on this, just below these deer. We got out, put the spot and scope on him, and sure enough, it was definitely an older age class management buck.
What do you think?
He's a good deer.
Yeah.
A good management deer.
So we started to make a plan on this deer, and I hit him with the EL range, and we had him at about 780 yards, so we knew we had to get closer.
So now we just got to figure out how to get to him.
That's the easy part, right?
Yeah.
These deer are about 600 yards up on the hill, so if we can get 300 or 400 yards in on them, I think we'll be good.
It'll be a good cut. Well, we get a little break in the weather, and I think it'll help us a little bit too.
Not much time had gone by before we realized this was the deer we wanted to go after, but we realized pretty quickly that we had to get closer just to get a better look and then make a plan on how to get in on it.
Originally, Dean ranged the deer at 700 yards, and that's a little too far for the system that we had, so we decided to try to close that distance. We went down through a wash, a little gully that was running some water, and then hiked up the backside of a little hill that kind of kept the deer out of sight. Once we got to the edge of the hill, we got up and came right into perfect position. 300 yards, the buck was still bedded. He didn't even know we were there.
Hey, Dean, I'm gonna need something to lock in my shoulder a little bit. Can you give me a pack?
So we got John really comfortable on the pack just so he was, had good anchor points and could make a really good shot.
All right, Dean, how far is he?
And I took a reading on the animal and he was right at 300, which worked out perfect because we had the ballistic turret with a setting right for 300. So John just dialed it in perfect.
As soon as he gets up, whenever you're comfortable.
And the does above him that he was with started to move around, started to move across the ridge. And you know, with this being the rut and all, we just figured that this deer was gonna get up and follow those does. And sure enough, as soon as he kind of looked up the hill and saw those does moving, he got up out of his bed and
Turns sideways for me, scratches his ear, and the rest, as I'll say, of his history.
All right, John, as soon as he stops and you're comfortable, just take him.
nice shot.
How about that? Whoa! What great optics are for, man.
He was right at 300.
Yes, right on.
Dialed it right in.
Too much fun.
I'll tell you what, that's an awesome deer.
We were tickled pink to have such a nice animal. What a day.
We say we go check him out.
Yeah, and we don't have any more snow. How about that? We might even get sunshine. I love that California rain.
You had to kill the deer on the highest hill, didn't you?
Yeah, darn it. That's sucking wind, man. Great deer, absolutely awesome.
Tell you what, this is considered a management deer here, but
Hard to believe, isn't it?
they've got some great management bucks, and the amount of deer we've been seeing this week has just been incredible.
Bodies have been absolutely large. I can't believe how big the bodies have been.
And the most important thing, the guy on the trigger's doing the job.
Hey, every now and then we do something right.
Nice job.
Had to be the optics. Thank you.
Driving into the ranch, you just can't help but get excited. You know right away that this is mule deer country. And as we moved up into some of the higher elevations, that's when it kind of creeps into your psyche that, hey, I'm a guy from the Northeast. We pretty much live at sea level, and I'm going to be at 7,500 or 8,000 feet this week. So, you know, that definitely comes into play as a hunter, and you really need to be in good physical condition for a hunt like this. So now it was my turn to be on the trigger, and the last couple days I had been using the glass and spotting for John, and you know, that has been a thrill, but also, hey, I'm a hunter, I grew up hunting, and I was in Utah. I wanted to get out and hunt these big bucks.
This ranch is well known for big mule deer. The biggest deer we've ever killed on here is a 220-inch typical that's like number 5 in the state. So I know that Dean, he's gonna be pretty excited, so I'm gonna have to watch him and make sure we can get the right animal. I might have to take his bullets away if that's necessary until we find the right one.
Get some height. It's not as big as that last one we saw, though.
No.
Keep moving on.
Yeah, that's good.
You're free to live another day, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not only do I get excited about hunting the deer itself, it's the terrain that they live in. It's hiking up these hills where it seems like every step, it's inch by inch, and you have to do it to get in some of these areas that these trophy mule deer are living. Bunch of them down there, though.
Yeah, they sure are.
The really cool thing about this hunt is the different types of optics that we're using. I mean, certainly in the morning, right off the bat, you want to use the binoculars where you're just getting a great field of view and searching these hillsides. But as you get out 500, 600, 700 yards, it's really nice to be able to switch over to that spotting scope and really pick apart some of these brushy areas that these mule deer not only like to live in, but when they're bedding and they're hid behind these trees, they're very difficult animals to spot.
It just saves you hours of time when you can pick up an animal quickly and clear and crisp, and whether it's what you're looking for or not.
He's on the move. Nice frame on him. That buck has got his work cut out for him.
The unique thing about this ranch is the deer numbers are really high. We have one of the highest buck-to-doe ratios in the state of Utah. So we have an opportunity to be selective and try to get the older age class deer that we're looking for.
So we headed out for the morning hunt, and right off the bat we started seeing some good deer. It looked like they were up and moving a little bit, and we saw some good bucks, but just not what I was looking for.
His beams, they curve pretty good, but they're tight in the front.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We saw one really good buck. He was a 3x8. On one side, he just had a lot of junk, and on the other side, he just wasn't a deer that really excited me.
Pretty buck, though.
We saw a lot of does and a lot of decent bucks, but just not something we were really wanting to go after.
By the afternoon, they were really moving good. There was deer up all over the place, and so we just continued on searching and looking through.
We headed to this area where they had been seeing a big old three-pointer kind of hanging. They hadn't seen him for a couple of weeks, but we were hoping with the weather and the cold the last couple of days, we'd see him in the area just looking for does.
We've seen some big ones here. So if we'll just hike on up here, we should have a good vantage point to see if we can see them coming out.
Okay. We just decided to get up on a good vantage point in glass and just see what came out and what was moving around this afternoon. And a big buck just coming over the top of the hill there.
Yeah.
Big body on him.
Big.
He's got good mass too. I didn't need any binoculars to know it was a big deer. And once I put the ELs up, it just, you knew right away that buck popped right out at you.
And Dean looked at him and says, you know, I think I'll take that buck. And I said, all right, that's a good idea.
He's 530. We need to get another 100 yards.
Yeah.
If we can get up another 100 yards, you know, it'd be a good shot right in the open.
We hiked a little closer to get the yardage right so that we knew we could be confident with the shot. The buck fed back into the trees, but we could see him off and on as he was working his way from left to right.
As we moved up about 80 or 100 yards, we saw some bodies moving through the Quakies, and you know, he had picked up a couple of bucks in there that we didn't see, and they were about to come out of the edge of the woods, so we basically dropped as quick as we can.
How far is he?
430 yards.
The nice thing was the fact that this big buck had picked up a couple of other smaller bucks, because it really gave me the time as the smaller one came out to kind of put their crosshairs on that area, get settled, get my breathing right, and really make sure I was ready to take the shot.
All right, they're coming out.
All right, that first one's a small one, right?
Yes.
And the second one right there, he's a little.
The second one's coming out's a little too.
I'm gonna let him walk right out there. They're pretty comfortable. All right, they're switching positions a little bit. I got that big one's in the back now, right?
No, it's going to be in the middle now.
Okay, he's that middle buck, the second
The
buck.
middle is the big one.
You know, there was a lot of communication going on between us, but on the same token, we were definitely confident that we could make this shot.
All right, I'm gonna wait till he walks in that little snow patch.
Perfect.
But as that first buck moved out into this snowy opening, I knew that's where I needed to take the shot, and I just waited and was patient for that big one just to move into that area.
Pretty quick, the buck had gotten clear of the brush, and Dean said, I'm going to take him.
And I squeezed that trigger.
Yeah.
Great.
He went right down.
Shot. Great, right down. Great shot. Woo.
And there's no better feeling to watch a deer fall like that. And you know, for me, this was just an exciting shot, and the fact that it was the longest one I had ever made. And
I tell you what, we've passed up a lot of deer, but when we saw him, we knew right away. Let's go look at him.
Let's go.
Great buck. So we killed 2 big bucks in 1 shot each for each guy. Good clean kills. It was an awesome hunt.
can't say enough about the deer we saw this week, and I've heard so much about hunting Utah, and obviously it's all paid off. One of the hardest things to do in hunting is be patient sometimes, and we passed a lot of good deer this week, and we ended up getting him, so it's just, it's been awesome. Yep. The only problem now is we got a lot of work getting back to camp. Yeah. This was just one of those hunts for me this week that, you know, you just come down here and you just get to know these other hunters as people, and some of the best friends I have in this world have been made on weeks like this.